Yeah, but what do you guys feel about that though? Like the U, the UN thing. Like, here, let me find the article so I can read it.
For sure.
Yeah, I just feel like, the United States probably just, it's just not top of their agenda. It just proves that it was never a part of Biden's agenda to really participate in something like that. But also at the same time, like, our government is about to shut down. So like we probably do have like some bigger things to worry about right now.
Our government's about to shut down. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mitch
If they
McConnell
don't,
is definitely attempting to block any way to like raise the debt ceiling so the government can continue to function. And they're basically just saying that we are not going to raise the debt ceiling, even though as the majority leader, Mitch McConnell raised the debt ceiling.
Who's they saying that they're not going to raise the debt ceiling?
The Senate majority Republicans, like the majority Senate Republicans,
are going
the
against
minority, because like aren't the Democrats the majority in the
Oh, they
Senate?
are. They are. They are. I apologize. Now they're the
I was like,
minority.
why are they going against Mitch McConnell? Doesn't make any sense.
Because he the
House majority leader.
No, Senate. He would be the Senate minority leader.
He's the minority leader, but they're the minority. As the minority leader, I think he's attempting to block.
Yeah, he still does have some powers where he can fuck shit up.
So the Democrats want to
raise the debt ceiling.
And the Democrats, the Republicans are like, no, that's stupid.
Yeah, yeah, this not that stupid. It's not that stupid because what they did that the previous 4 cycles of this of raising the debt ceiling, the Republicans were the ones that, because they were the majority for like the last, I think, 3 to 4 cycles.
Right.
And so they raised the debt ceiling continuously so the government can continue. It's because I think they're in the minority at this point is the reason why they are.
And at this point, like, who cares if we raise our debt ceiling? Like, we're like something like $29 trillion in debt. Like, that's an inconceivable number. Like, who cares if we raise it another trillion or so? Like, what difference is it really going to make? Like, we're never going to pay that money back. Like, like, I can't physically conceive even a trillion, like how much a trillion is. So like to have like $29 trillion in debt, like what does it even matter? Like, I don't think it really matters at all, honestly.
Yeah, man, I couldn't really tell you, man. Like, I was not good in econ, man.
like shit starts to get fuzzy around like once you get like into the billions, but to like have like I don't know, like a trillion is just an insane number, and like we have no hope of paying that back.
So you think the Republicans are just pouting? That's why they're not trying to raise the debt ceiling.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is.
That's interesting, man. That's an interesting, I hope that's not what it is. I hope they have
it's political games that are just being played just for the sake of stalling legislation. Like, this entire purpose is like, if you shut down the government, like the terms of presidencies are defined. Like, if the government is shut down for a period of time and no legislation can be passed, it's beneficial. Like, if you are like the minority campaign.
Because it literally like shits on our economy if the government shuts down. So like, then they're like, oh, look, Biden fucked up the economy.
It's a very easy play to game. It's a very easy game to play. You get to blame the leadership through the turmoil since they're not moving. Since like federal, like military gets emergency pay, federal employees have to stop working. Like, it's.
Well, I'm not really fucking with Biden anyway, man, because of shit like this. How he's, not sending ambassadors to a meeting on race for the UN. How he's not reprimanding the, border patrol agents who are, messing with people coming from Haiti. Treating them like they're less than human. It's like if that's how you want to act, man. Shit, man. I'll have no horses in the race no more, man. I'm done with political
shit's gonna be the same, like, regardless of who's in power.
Political shit, man. Like, I don't pick sides no more because both these people fucked up at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but on that note,
It's a real shit show. It's a real shit show.
yeah, on that note, let's get into the good show, the Mostly Bullshit podcast.
I'm Mike.
I'm Brandon,
And I'm Solomon.
and this is the weekly catch up with 3 former college roommates. Where we just talk about life, talk about stuff, but mostly we just bullshit. So let's get straight into the topics. Mike always starts. Mike, what's your topic this week?
So I understand the implications of what I'm about to bring up, especially given the history of Black people in this country. So I'm just bringing it up for discussion purposes to see like if we can come to a logical conclusion to help with this issue that I'm having. And that's just with the amount of stupid people there are in the world that are voting on things that they know nothing about, and how it kind of influences just our country and the laws that this country makes. And that was just kind of introducing, like, should we have some sort of like logic test or reasoning test to qualify people to vote? And as I said, I understand that in the past, these things have been used to prevent Black people from voting. That was like literacy tests. And then they used like the grandfather clause so that white people that couldn't read could still vote. So I guess like if we could implement some sort of just logic test to where people are presented with information and they're able to come to a logical conclusion based on just evidence that they're given, that could be some sort of criteria to be eligible to vote. But the way to implement it, it would definitely have to be like there are no types of clauses like the grandfather clause or any bullshit like that. But I do understand that it's probably it's a little sketch to do, but just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on possible ways that we could implement some sort of way to get our voting public at least more educated on the things that they're voting on.
Yeah, Mike, I don't think it's a bad idea, but when it comes to us, man, like there's a lot of youth who are marginalized, meaning they have not as many resources to get the information needed to pass such a test, perhaps. You know what I'm saying? They might be growing up in tough conditions where, people can't provide them the necessary resources to be successful just in life, let alone to vote. So man, yeah, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
That's super tough.
Like, cause yeah, I definitely understand that. And that's why like I was very hesitant to even kind of like bring it up, just because I know that problem exists. But it just seems like we have a large portion of our voting public that makes decisions for this country that heavily just influence our laws and like can negatively affect the future. And I think I saw something online that kind of seems that like, so people who live in like major cities, they tend to think more about the future. Like, how can we make, the world better for our kids? How, like, they look at things like climate change, things like that. But people who live in kind of more rural communities think of the now, like, oh, I don't care about the future. Like, let's like help myself now type things. So I guess just some way to get those people to look deeper into the future, look at the bigger picture, be presented with information like, obviously with all of our pollution emissions, melting ice glaciers, ozone depletion, like you should be able to gather those things and then come to the conclusion that climate change is a problem, for example. That's just one topic. But I feel like a lot of people tend to kind of say it's hearsay, conspiracy, when in reality, like they're presented with fact that people have dedicated their lives to study, and then you're just being called a conspiracist.
Yeah, I mean, from what I see, I think it's the source of it is mostly the misinformation that gets put out into like into our day-to-day like readings and
Mhm.
what we see in posts, articles, newspapers. Like we do receive misinformation from time to time, and it's sometimes hard to decipher. So I see where you're coming from in regards to kind of having like some sort of competence, like a competency test, where if someone is able to kind of decipher like truth and like factual statements versus like opinions and false statements, I think there is something that could be done there, but I don't think it could be done like neatly. Um, like it's really hard to like create a test to where you can, I don't know, like make it to where the people who are competent enough can actually vote. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and maybe it's like something as simple as just like emphasizing more things in school, like emphasizing like the scientific method more thoroughly in school. Even though even though like not everyone's going to be a scientist, I think the scientific method has a lot of validity in how conclusions are came to. You know, you come up with a hypothesis, you do the research, you present that research to your peers either agree or disagree with it, and then you're able to come to a conclusion based on like the evidence that you've been able to find yourself and be
You gotta
presented with.
you gotta define peers then, Mike.
Yeah, like that. I guess that's where like, I mean, technically we're all peers. Like there shouldn't be like, obviously you guys are my peers, but like my people I work with are my peers. Like people around me are my peers. Like there's no.
Isn't that what voting is? Is that people come into different conclusions and then you vote on who's right?
But I guess, but like I just feel like the people coming to those concludes, like some of these conclusions are being, as Solomon was said, being fed misinformation, and they're not vetting the information that's being received, like, you know, just like posts on Facebook versus a scientific journal that's been reviewed by 100 scientists. You know what I'm saying? Like being able to interpret like what information coming towards you has been thoroughly reviewed and what's like accurate, I guess.
Yeah.
And like
That's not the life we live, Mike. That's the thing. Like we live in a life where we receive like quick bits, quick like little blurbs, some like a headline that'll capture us to have us read like some 2-paragraph statement that will heavily influence our opinion, just to
but
keep
like
it pushing.
I guess that's what that, like it just goes back to school of just like emphasizing from a young age that, you know, you need to vet your resources very thoroughly before you can come and make a decision about something. Like it's like, so it doesn't necessarily have to be a test, but maybe just something, there's something added to our education system and the curriculum that just kind of pushes people to like not take the first thing they see and think that that's truth, you know?
I think what you're talking about is like competing ideological preferences. Like some people can process information differently, process what how they perceive reality differently.
Mhm.
You can't really fight someone's free will to learn and do whatever they want to do at the end of the day. What's going to happen is natural selection and evolution. Just shit. If someone's wrong, they're just going to be wrong, and they're going to get left
Just
behind.
gonna die wrong. Yeah.
They're gonna get
So
But
left
this
like,
is
see,
like,
but the
Which
thing is with
you know what's
natural
crazy,
select.
Mike, is that a lot of those rural cities, people our age that live in those cities are moving out to big cities.
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
So that's what's going on in the country right now. Is that those places are
Well, they're getting more connected to those places, like more than ever now, due to like
Mm-hmm.
social media. Like people in the suburbs weren't really peeping what people in the city were living like.
there we go.
And
Like over the past 10 to 15 years, they've actually gotten a really good insight.
Because that's the thing
Yeah.
about being in a city, Mike, is that you're around so many people, you're able to exchange so many ideas. If someone lives miles away from you, it's like, why am I gonna walk miles away just to hear what another motherfucker gotta say? You know what I'm saying? But in the
And
city,
then like,
you're forced to.
I mean, and just to like confirm, like this isn't meant to be directed towards either side of the political fence. I believe there's dumbass people on both sides. Just to kind of get that out of the way. But yeah, just I do agree that like with social media and people tending to want to move, like younger people our age wanting to move to these bigger cities and be exposed to other things is definitely a trend in the correct direction. I just don't know, but at the same time with social media, there's just as much misinformation coming from it as there is good information. And so like it's just like there needs to be some way to
That's life.
help
Like,
us
that's always
interpret that.
what are you gonna, I mean, what did they do back in the day? Like, what are you gonna do, Mike? You gonna cancel them? Like,
I'm just saying, like, there has to be something we can do. Like, we
actually
can't
what's
just let
starting
it
to happen, though.
Like,
that's what's starting to happen. Like YouTube actually just today announced that they're starting to remove like anti-vaccine like speech.
Yeah.
And like anti-vaccine speakers and their platforms from YouTube, because this is like, that's actually considered one of the ways is just to remove misinformation from the platforms, the mediums that the speakers use to speak to their audiences. So that kind of like includes, what is it? Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. So those types of platforms, most people think the private way, like through private companies, is the best way to make that change, because
they're still gonna, those platforms still are gonna exist though in other,
for sure. Those they will still exist no matter what. But like it's just what's happening now is they're trying to take them away from the biggest platforms, so they get thrown back into the little underground shit, because they're on mainstream platforms, like a lot of
Parlor.
Well, Parlor is made for them though. That's the example of what I'm saying, is that they're just gonna make their own platform.
So yeah, man, I just feel like there's got to be, I mean, I guess maybe it goes back to what we talked about a few podcasts ago of being able to, like, especially in media, just saying, like, putting a disclaimer on what's entertainment versus what is fact type of thing, or like what's news, I guess, and just really just determining who's the person that's going to decide that, or like, is it going to be the private companies or the government?
It gotta be the government. That's who protects the private companies.
Yeah. But like you said, well, like what Solomon was saying, like, so YouTube is removing certain content from their platform. They're a private company. The government's not, I don't know, maybe the government influenced that. Like the government reached out and said, you know, hey, can you take this off your platform? But ultimately it was YouTube's decision to decide if they wanted to do that or not. So like, that's an example of a private company dictating what true information is. But
that's what they can do until somebody takes legal action, which is going to happen eventually. But I'm just saying, like, and this is in this country, you can break the law because everyone technically has freedom of speech. You can break the Constitution until somebody challenges you in court. You are innocent until proven guilty in the court. So that's how this country works. Like I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I feel like the free speech thing kind of gets a little misconstrued. Like, you're allowed to speak out against the government, but like there's nothing that like prevents private companies or like social media platforms from silencing you when it comes to free speech, because you're still allowed, because you can still go and talk. Like, the thing is, you can say whatever you want to say, but you can't be persecuted for it. That's what free speech is. It's not like, oh, I can say whatever I want to say and like never have to face any type of consequence.
Right. And
Yeah,
that's what people gotta
threatening
realize. It's
someone
just
will
like
still get you consequences.
I feel
Mhm.
like people who get like mad about being like shadow banned and stuff. It's just like, yo, like you're on their platform. Like, don't think you
Yeah.
can just do whatever and then nothing's gonna happen. Like, what the hell? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
like, like you know, like if that promotes other people making their own platform, then you know that's what's gonna happen too. Like, there's gonna be a consequence to that, and you don't know what the long term effects of that are. So people are just out here making choices and dealing with the consequences, Mike. That's all it is, man. I honestly can't get too caught up on what other people are doing. To be like, we need to like make sure everybody's educated and make sure they know this level of logic um, before they vote. Like, that don't really affect me at the end of the day.
But I feel like it could affect us in a positive way if it happened. Like right now, of course, like we're used to people just never, like we're used to people just doing whatever they want to do, you know. But like it could heavily influence the future of this country if we were, if there was some kind of competency addressed before we before we voted. But like I said, I 100% understand the implications of it. I'm not saying that I'm right in doing it or in saying it. It's just a topic of discussion to see where the conversation went, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess we could end the conversation there, but yeah, like
Yeah.
we'll see what happens in the future, Mike. I mean, we're definitely moving towards a more authoritarian government, so they might impose some type of some type of mandate like that.
It might not be as
Well,
fair as you think.
Speaking of
yeah.
mandates, speaking
I
of
mean, it's
mandates,
not going to be like it's definitely not going to be fair. But yeah, go ahead.
my topic is about the Warriors' very own Andrew Wiggins, the Nets' very own Kyrie Irving refusing to take the vaccine.
Don't forget about Jonathan Isaac.
Jonathan Isaac, Bradley
Yeah.
Beal, I forget who else, Michael Porter Jr., I believe, has been outspoken against the vaccine. So, there's a lot of athletes out here who don't want to take the vaccine. I mean, Jonathan Isaac, Bradley Beal, they're not required to take the vaccine. However, I don't think Michael Porter Jr. is either. But Andrew Wiggins and Kyrie Irving are, because their cities that they play in order to be indoors for any large public event, you have to be vaccinated, and that's in New York and San Francisco. But that only applies to the home team. So anyone visiting the arena doesn't have to be vaccinated. They just have to wear a mask when they're on the bench and when they're just walking around the arena.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird how the rules are set up. I mean, I'm sure it's set up that way because of the players union, and that's the extent that they can protect players who want to make that choice. But they can't go against state you know whatever, like ordinances or local ordinances, citywide ordinances. So it's interesting, man. I personally think Andrew Wiggins is vaccinated. He just doesn't want to say that he's vaccinated because he doesn't appreciate the fact that he had to get vaccinated.
Wait, what?
I don't
You think
believe.
he's forfeiting the money then?
No, I don't think he's forfeiting the money at all. I think he is vaccinated right now. The only
Oh,
reason,
you
the only
think they're
reason I
just
say that
speculating
is
for no reason?
the only reason I'm saying that is because he's at camp. But I was talking to somebody and they were like, nah, like people still work in like San Francisco and New York. Like that's like the mandate or whatever is not against people working. It's against people who like do things for recreation.
But that's not isn't it that a job though?
I don't. So that's weird. So like I know healthcare workers in New York were just recently let go.
Yeah, I know that because that makes somewhat sense, mostly because they are dealing with COVID patients.
Right. They've been dealing with COVID patients.
Yeah, they have been. They have been.
So I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that. Like, I know Kyrie for sure is not getting it, and he said that if they play with him at all, he's just going to retire. And KD has already said, don't trade him. Or
I
else,
mean,
you're gonna have problems with me. So what do you guys think is gonna happen with Kyrie? I already think Andrew Wiggins is gonna get vaccinated and he's just pissed off about it. Which I
so,
feel.
so with Kyrie, like, as someone who has been just kind of riddled with injury his entire career, he's been on probably all types of painkillers, all types of medication throughout his career during his surgeries. Like, why is he so trustful of medical professionals when it comes to that stuff? Shit that could literally end his career. But when it comes to a vaccine, he suddenly doesn't want to trust medical professionals. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me that like people like that you can like take
I don't want
like
to assume
people
that
like.
Kyrie's on painkillers though.
But all right, so you think he like all those surgeries that he's had, you don't think he took? I mean, all right, maybe he didn't. Like maybe he
I
just
don't know.
accepted the pain.
I don't know.
But like either way, like the logic for not taking the vaccine is, oh, I don't know what's in it. But like, to be honest, like people don't really know what's in anything that they take. Like you don't know what's the active chemical in an aspirin. Like what like they don't know what goes into the ACL surgery or the meniscus surgery. So like, and obviously you have to be put under for those surgeries. You can't be awake for that. So you're taking some sort of thing to put you under. So if you're trustful in that, and like yeah, the anesthetic, and like they're even like doctors are even like honest about like there's the potential to never wake up once you go under. Like that's a thing. Like when you get your wisdom teeth pulled out, they're like it's very extremely rare, but it's a
Right, you gotta
potential
sign
that
a waiver. Yeah, you gotta
sign a waiver. So
every
like
time you go into surgery.
So like what makes you more trusting of that than taking a vaccine that millions of people have already taken and are fine and medical professionals are recommending to do? Like what, like it just doesn't make sense to me how he can like make that distinction.
Mm-hmm. I believe that
that's a very good point. I just want to point that out.
No,
Yeah.
I believe that the main issue that a lot of people have, that I personally have, is that the long-term effects of the technology behind the vaccine, how it works within your body, has not been thoroughly tested to the extent that other medical processes have, at least to this point. So going under has been tested for decades at this point.
But like at some point, like people,
I'm just saying there might have been a weird, like we weren't there when the procedure of using anesthetics was first introduced. So there might have been a hesitancy back then when people were starting to do that, going under, because people didn't do that when they got surgery. They just took it back in the day. But then once they started introducing anesthetics, and then some people were dying and other people weren't. And so you're like, damn, like, you don't know if people were at least hesitant at first when it first came out. So I feel like that's really just what it is. It's just like it's new, so people are hesitant at first until but 5 years from now, I don't think people will be as hesitant.
And I agree with that. But
right now, I don't know what's the.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so hard.
If it's not affecting you personally, Solomon, like I understand what you're saying, Solomon. But if it's like how most people think is like, I do my day to day, and I've not gotten sick.
I know, I can understand that, but right. I would believe for some of these players, no matter who they are, there was somebody on their team that was affected or had somebody like very close to them affected by COVID, just due to the nature of their organization. Like we know players around the league, like big name players who have had family members who've lost their parents, who've lost like grandparents, etc., due to COVID. And so like they're like their brothers. They're in the locker room every day. So like even though they might have not been personally affected, I believe like they should still potentially have an understanding of
Mhm.
how like their teammates feel about the situation and how like COVID affected like their families and so forth.
Right.
Because it's like a lot of people, like I think a lot of the argument here is like the effects of the vaccine, like the side effects of the vaccine. I'd rather have this like the COVID itself, rather than the side effects of the vaccine.
Right, because I feel
As
like the people who are mostly adverse to taking the vaccine are fairly healthy people who
Yeah.
live healthy lives. Who are like, I've known people who've gotten COVID, or I've myself gotten COVID, and to me, as a healthy person, it didn't affect me the way that it affects an obese person, a diabetic person, a person with a pre-existing condition. So because
okay.
me personally, I'm just talking, like I'm just saying in Andrew
Mhm.
Wiggins' case, as a professional athlete, me personally, like why do I even have to shoot myself up when I know more? Like I've never seen a professional athlete die from COVID. The current
Okay.
professional athlete
But he's seen
So
Damian Lee get COVID,
get
get
COVID
the
twice.
vaccine, and then get COVID again.
Right, that's what I'm
so
saying. So he's like, he's looking at
so so
Damian Lee like, look at this dude. Like, you know what
so
I'm saying?
so my thing though is then so they don't know the long-term effects of the vaccine, but you also don't know the long-term effects of COVID. Like who knows what damage could have been done to your lungs
Well, I mean,
that you just
so
don't know about. And like
you,
so like for me, for example, I got COVID last year
yeah,
in June or July or something like that.
yeah,
It took me a year to regain my sense of smell. Like
yeah,
I could not smell shit for like this entire past year. I'm just now starting to regain my sense of smell. And like
mhm,
so there was a time where I was thinking, damn, like I may never be able to smell anything again. Like, and that was kind of a scary thought to think that I would lose one of my senses like that. Like you don't really appreciate your senses until you lose it. So
right.
like if I had lost my ability to sense a smell, then
I
I
don't think we
would
can use
definitely
that
have preferred to get the vaccine. Like,
I don't think we can use that example, Mike, because you aren't able to smell again.
but that's what I'm saying. But like, it
There's
could have
other
been.
like there's been like
There's
yeah,
other
there's been
people
other
that are
people
like
that have
me.
had other adverse effects from
Yeah, like
COVID. Like
permanent lung damage. Like,
yeah, because
Mhm.
all we focus on with like COVID is the deaths, but like they're like what we don't see is like people that had like right under death is like the people who had brain injury, like severe permanent brain injury from COVID, people who had permanent lung damage, people who had permanent damage to their body as a result of COVID, people who had temporary reductions of senses, abilities, and so forth. They don't bring those numbers up. But
Yeah,
but like the thing is, what I want to just quickly say is whatever you see the numbers of deaths as, each of those levels I kind of brought to you, like it's a magnitude above the amount of deaths. Like the people with brain injuries and lung injuries, way more than deaths. Way more. We have the ability to save people, and we save more people than not. And so the deaths are actually like for it to be that high a volume, we have so many other people in like really severe positions. The ICUs are filled for a reason. There are people clinging, fighting for their lives,
right.
like filled floors.
Yeah,
eh,
I from what I'm seeing is like a lot of the people who are against the vaccine who have gotten COVID don't personally have those don't really have that
Yeah,
situation
yeah,
in the
yeah.
but
The
ICU.
people you personally know do not go to the ICU. They were not put
I'm
on
just
a ventilator.
the people that I've been exposed
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah. No,
that
I get
are
that.
against the vaccine are not in a situation where they feel or have or when they got COVID had to go to the ICU.
and that's the case for most people. Like
Right.
it's, but there's also
I'm
a
just saying
significant
because
amount of people.
I'm just
Yeah,
saying that's because
from your perspective.
that's their perspective of what
Mhm.
COVID is. So like if I'm getting the vaccine, they don't really see it as I'm getting it for other people because they see it like, okay, if I'm only putting myself at risk potentially. I can't necessarily put other people at. I don't see how I
But
can put other people at risk.
but you are putting other people at risk, because if you do get COVID, viruses mutate. So
Yeah.
now you're giving the virus an opportunity to mutate into something even deadlier
As a host.
that all of a sudden now the vaccines might not be effective against. And that's why we get a flu shot every year, because every year something happens with the flu where it
Could it be? I'm just saying, if people are still getting COVID from even when they're vaccinated, then that can also the vaccinated people could be
but
a host for mutated.
no. But you
virus.
okay, so when you have the vaccine and you get COVID, your body is a lot more prepared to handle COVID than if you didn't have the vaccine.
Right, but
That's how your immune system works. Like you get the vaccine, your antibodies, or your body saves the antibodies that are ready to attack COVID the moment you get it.
Yeah, really quickly, I just want to say, Brandon, you're right. Like, somebody who is vaccinated can potentially mutate COVID. However, it will happen at a rate much lower than someone who is unvaccinated.
Okay. I'm just saying, because those are still possibilities, even when
They are possibilities. No, they are possibilities.
But it's like, why not minimize those possibilities by getting vaccinated is the point. Like, it's not, no one is saying that like the vaccine is just gonna the end all be all of COVID. The vaccine is there to help defend ourselves from COVID. Like, you shouldn't look at it as a way to just like completely end the pandemic. You look at it as a way to be prepared for if you do get COVID.
Mhm.
And like, I think that's what like people have to look at it as. It's is when it comes to the vaccine.
It's interesting.
I like how that was put.
It's interesting, man. You know.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a situation we haven't had to deal with. You know.
But at this point, it's actually going to start affecting people's livelihoods. You know, like, will Kyrie, because Kyrie's going to have Kyrie will have to forfeit half of his season salary. Andrew Wiggins potentially will as well, because that's kind of what comes with
Kyrie might retire.
Kind of this. Yeah, 29. Like, it's crazy.
Kyrie he might be like just one of those dudes that's just like, I can't do it. He might retire and come back or something.
When all the smoke settles.
Yeah, the rules might be different. You know what I'm saying? I'm just because there's not enough data to really understand what's going on, what really affects people, how people are really affected. Because they were saying that when I don't know, man. There's a lot that's going on right now with the very new virus.
Delta variant.
The federal government still cannot force you to get a vaccine. I don't think the federal government on a federal level will force everyone in the United States to ever get a vaccine.
Not yet. I mean, no. I think
they've done it before, though.
No, they've done just federal employees. Just federal employees.
No, I'm talking about citizens. I don't think they'll.
No, they can't. That will still be up to the states.
I don't think they'll ever.
And local. That'll always be up to states and local.
Yeah. So, like I was saying earlier, man, it's just like people have their views, and you got to make a decision based on that, man. You got to just do whatever is best for you. I salute to people who got it going on how they got it going on, man.
Man, that's the most ambiguous way to give a salute, bro. But I
appreciate it's like, do you, bro? Yo, do you, bro? You know what I'm saying?
The salute you gave was more like of a.
Anyway, Nets picking up Ben Simmons or what then?
I mean,
it's about time.
Kyrie's gonna retire, so they can't get Ben Simmons.
They can't even trade him for him.
Anyone's getting Ben Simmons is the Warriors, bro. It has to be the Warriors, because Andrew Wiggins can play on Philly. I think Andrew Wiggins is the perfect player that Philly needs. They need another defender. I know they want to get Andrew Wiggins to somebody else. They want to get like one of our young guys, but we can't give up.
They need to surround Embiid with shooters. That's the only that's why like Ben Simmons and Embiid don't work together. Like, Ben Simmons needs to also attack the paint, but Embiid is in the paint, so like it just clogs the paint. So like that's why they don't work together. And that's what I'm pretty sure that's like his reasoning for saying like nothing personal, but I can't play with Joel Embiid
I
anymore.
think it is personal
Like,
with Joel Embiid. I think they have real
oh,
personal issues. Like
This man
oh,
really
you think so?
chat talk him in the
he said, he was
presser.
disappointed.
Yeah, he chat talk him in a presser, bro. That's not. You can't do that.
Yeah.
He clowns Ben Simmons all the time in pressers. He don't care about Ben Simmons.
Yeah.
You know.
Like they don't like each other, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
For sure.
Simon, what's your
All
topic?
right. So I just wanted to just to the audience. This is to the audience. This is not to y'all. I just wanted to say I wanted my topic to be about soccer this week, and introduce y'all to the lovely world of soccer. But we had some discussions, in the pre workup, and so I actually decided to switch it to a video I actually watched the other day about a family that had retired as a couple with two daughters in Portugal at 41 and 39, and they followed a ideology called F.I.R.E. So it's called Financial Independence Retirement Early. And so basically what they did was they followed a course of action where they essentially worked to a point where they were able to retire early, get off the grid. Well, not even get off the grid. They moved to Portugal, and basically their main methodology of maintaining income was real estate. And then they eventually kind of split off into like the stock exchange and etc. But I wanted to ask you, like, they are 41 and 39 respectively. In this day and age, do you think it's really reasonable to retire early? Do you have aspirations to retire early? And if so, how do you like want to get to that position? You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of what sparked my interest.
I was about to say yes, and do what they did, bro.
See,
I
like,
feel you.
like,
But it's
and I,
sorry,
go
I
ahead.
wanted to really just chip in real quick. They're 41 and 39, and they actually got really lucky because they bought their first house in San Diego, but bought all the rest of their real estate in the Bay Area 15 years ago. And so like while like like it was like an NBC news report, they didn't really center on that. If you lived in the Bay Area, like between 15 years ago and now, home prices have at least like tripled in the last 15 years. And so like it's understandable why you can see why they have retired early. But like so it may not be as feasible today, which is the reason why I kind of wanted to bring it to y'all. Like while the Bay Area might not be in play, there might be other places in the world.
So I totally I like the method, the real estate method to just gain passive income. But the woke crowd will tell you that fucks up the housing market. And
you a landlord now?
Yeah. I was, but like it yeah, like it'll fuck up the housing market, jack up the prices of homes if a small amount of people own the majority of the homes out there. I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but like it is a little fucked up to other people because you're building your wealth off the backs of other people for essentially just kind of doing nothing. But yeah, like if you have the capital to invest in homes, like I mean, you'd kind of be like, I don't see why you wouldn't want to do that if you had the capability to do it. So I'm definitely not against the method. Like I do it myself if I had the money.
Sure.
Maybe if my crypto pops off, that's what I'll end up doing.
But for now, just for Mike, just to follow up, for now, for you right now, it's just stocks and crypto.
Yeah.
That's the pathway. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Brandon, let me send it over to you. What's up? How you feeling about it?
I just feel like that's the move, man. Is like there's so much
like real estate.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, you just got to do your research, man. It's like it's a lot. It's gonna take a lot of homework, to understand what's a smart investment, and that's with real estate. That's with stocks. That's with crypto. That's anything. So just make smart investments.
Yeah, and I think probably the maybe more ethical way to do it would be commercial real estate. So instead of like
Yeah,
buying homes like you rent out to businesses,
I get
but
that.
that's also a lot more capital.
You have to understand, like you're
Yeah,
moving from like 500,000 to a million
like millions.
amount,
Yeah,
like 24
yeah.
million to $75 million, bro. Like that's kind of the ballpark you're playing in. I know
Yeah,
my family friend is a commercial real estate agent, and I like, when he gets a big win, he'll post it, and I see that price tag. That's a really huge price tag.
yeah.
Yeah.
I understood, like definitely no, but yeah. Um, yeah, like if I definitely think real estate's the easiest way to just pretty much just live, be financially free and just live life
Yeah.
with doing minimal effort.
Mhm.
So yeah, like if I get more money, I'll buy more property and just rent it out to people.
No, I feel you. No, I feel you. And I wanted to like bring up like a personal kind of anecdote. One of my cousins kind of is following this pathway. And the reason why I brought it up, and I actually shared it with him because this family actually had like a couple of kids. And they started this journey like with kids. And what they like, the whole process was they bought the house, built it up, and either flipped it or rented it out. It was just depending on like the location, da da da. And but my cousin actually is currently kind of on that path. Like he first, like him and his wife got a really small house at first. Then they got like a bigger house for a smaller price. Like they paid off the initial house, did that, and they're on their way to purchasing houses in like, so they used to live in Seattle, but they bought a bigger house like an hour out of Seattle because they are fully remote now. They started purchasing homes in locations in more remote areas where they could rent out and essentially cash flow positive properties where the rent that the like tenants would pay would be more than the mortgage payments.
Yeah.
Duh.
And so that's what a cash flow positive
Uh,
property is. And so as long as you have the capital, you just go for it.
another method I've seen real estate people do is the Airbnb method.
Oh yeah,
So you
for
just buy a
sure.
property, Airbnb. That's like you can make some. I've seen people make some
It's
crazy
bread.
money.
It's bread because it's just like you get to put them at crazy prices.
Yeah, and then you don't really have to worry about a single tenant fucking up your house like over the course of a year. Well, I mean, obviously people can, but if they fuck up your house, you can charge them for it, like like straight up on
Yeah.
Airbnb. So like
Yep. I'm gonna be right
that's
back. I gotta get a charger.
so
Yeah. I just feel like the woke community doesn't understand that, like, a lot of the time is like when people are investing in these properties, like they're putting their money, they're consolidating resources, they're consolidating capital in order to get
mhm.
this type of shit done. It's not just one person, it's like a group of people. So they can do the same fucking thing. They can consolidate their resources and
Yeah, like
buy land anywhere in the fucking world.
yeah, like I was talking with my mom and my sister about potentially buying a property in like Palm Springs and just make it an Airbnb rental. And like that's just continuous cash flow. Like people are going to vacation in Palm Springs and the real estate out there is probably relatively cheap um compared to the rest of California.
Yeah, man,
But
just do your
like
research, man.
yeah,
Just go out there,
like
understand what the environment's like, what people want to do, where they want to be at to do it, like
mhm.
what the neighbors are like, shit like that.
Yeah. It's real easy, bro.
Yeah,
It's real easy. But man,
Yeah.
it
yeah,
was
man.
definitely inspiring though.
And
But
getting
it's
your
just
getting
like,
your real estate license is not that hard either.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I've had a couple friends that have done it and have done pretty well.
Yeah, that's like something you could probably do on the side. I mean, it's
Sure.
probably a lot harder than it. Like I've heard, it's easy to get the license, but it's like a lot harder to actually make good money unless you have the connections and stuff like that in real estate to make money. But like, yeah, just having the license at a side hustle, you get one like sale, you get like fucking 10K off that. Like that's big.
Big. Yeah, it's for sure.
Right.
Big.
It is a lot of times you can just be a facilitator. But I was gonna say, with stocks and crypto, I'm more so on that. Like I'm about to start trading, and
Okay.
like understanding like what that's like.
That's
But
what's up.
I'm more into long-term investments and just doing like the Warren Buffett method. I found out Warren Buffett makes one investment every year, just one.
And just puts a shit ton of money into it and then he
I
just
mean, I
lets it
don't.
ride.
Yeah,
Love that.
but what he
Yeah.
does is he spends the entire year
Researching.
chilling out, but just getting his mind at ease so he can make a sound decision. Researching, chilling out, researching, chilling out, researching.
That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, but a majority of his wealth was only accumulated within like the last 13 years of him actually investing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what's like crazy about Warren Buffett is that like it took a long time, but it's because he had this method where he was just making sound investments where over time they were destined. You know what I'm saying? If it's not now, 15, 20 years from now, it's a for sure.
Yeah.
And just being willing to sit on that. And then if you die, you gotta know somebody you trust or really fuck with.
Yeah, to keep
Yeah.
on keeping on. Gotta give them game. Set them
My
up.
dad put my money in the grave. No, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Can't do that. No, that is incorrect. Even though we are mostly bullshitting, we are not encouraging you to put money in the grave.
I don't know, man. The pharaohs did it. No, I'm playing.
They did. The thing is, they put gold.
They
They put gold or they put
They,
money?
they put gold. They didn't give a fuck about gold.
That's what I'm.
They didn't.
That's what I'm saying,
They
bro.
didn't
Gold
have
appreciated in that time.
They didn't have no money. They didn't
Bro,
even, they didn't even have-
paper is not gonna appreciate over time. I'll tell you that.
Nope.
The paper that money's made on, like once the new currency is made, it might be crypto. That old money, you can't sell that shit. That's not gonna be an antique, bro. That's gonna be like
It's just
trash.
worthless.
it's gonna be shit. It's gonna be like shit used to like lighter fluid. Like I don't know.
Start the fire.
You know, I don't know what it is, but money's gonna
Roll our joints with.
soon. Something like that.
Soon, yeah. Get on that crypto wave. Understand what that's about.
For sure. I was actually gonna bring up one thing before we jump off for the day. Did y'all hear about China banning all crypto exchanges?
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, I did.
How do y'all feel about that? How do y'all feel that it impacts? Does that impact the world, or do you think that impacts China?
China.
Negatively or positively?
Negatively.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is like a fallout of Evergreen, and ever since they've kind of made some like unilateral movements, it seems like it'll be interesting to see how their economy plays out because all their stocks are tanking.
Yeah, like it's just affecting the money that's gonna be coming in and out of the country. I feel like obviously like if they did allow exchanges, like there would be a lot of money being sent to and from China, and like kind of that just keeps the money circulating, so they're like preventing money from being able to circulate in a way.
I honestly
I just feel like because China's communist, so they have to regulate business. You can't regulate.
And I think they don't want the yen to like devalue in comparison to like crypto, but like it doesn't matter because they still do transactions between other currencies as well, and other currencies have like Ethereum is worth the US dollar range, so it's still going to translate back no matter what.
Yeah, no, for sure. It'll just be harder for Chinese citizens.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
But they'll figure it out.
But yeah, one way or another, we gonna make it. I'm definitely trying to retire early. I'm trying to kick back, relax.
Man, you gotta. We say this, man, but we gotta just tell ourselves and let our viewers know, man. Like it's real life. Like
Yep.
it's a real commitment in order to make that happen. Like
Yeah.
Like
it ain't no
you gotta
playground.
grind it out now.
That's
Like
stress. It's
Exactly.
like, if you want to live that relaxed life or whatever, that's stress.
you gotta take risks.
Yeah,
Like some big risks.
Right now.
Like yeah.
Earlier.
But now's the time to do it. Like while we do have
Yeah,
9 to
well, you
5s
have
and
nothing to lose. People always think they have something to lose. Like at 19, you
Own your
thought like
life. That's
$50 in your pocket where you had where
thought it was
something
balling.
nothing. Nothing to lose.
Only thing you
Everything
got to
you
lose.
have is just transitory. You gonna have to find your own path.
Yeah, man.
All you gonna have is your kind of like what your MO is and essentially your will. And that's it. Like what your purpose is and what drive you have to attain that purpose.
Yeah,
Outside of that, none of this shit matters. None of
yeah.
it.
You could do it.
and
Just know what
and,
it takes.
and who knows, maybe our podcast blows up and we live off this shit for the rest of our lives. Wouldn't that be nice?
Man, we
In
just
that
gotta,
case, shout outs to y'all because y'all were here before everybody else. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man. I mean, like, we just gotta keep doing stuff like this where we say, like if we just stay consistent. I think Rick Ross quoted something today on IG. He was like, "Winners don't," or no, E40. If you want to win, don't quit. That's
Sir.
that's bottom line. If you want to win, don't quit.
Absolutely.
Just keep it going.
Keep it going. I love that. I love that. I'm down.
Yes,
I,
sir.
I actually did see, so like I'm gonna start trying to post this back on like Spotify and Apple. And then like there's ways, like I saw like on the podcast host thing that I use, like there's ways to promote. So maybe we can put some funds that way to
We
get
gotta.
the promotion out.
I know we gotta create like marketing content, but it's like I don't really got time for
For
that.
sure.
Yeah.
We gotta get an intro theme song too. Like you know what I'm saying? We're getting to a
Yeah.
point where we need to put some production on this.
Yeah, man. So we gotta who can we reach out to for stuff like that? Maybe Chris.
Chris, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Chris, yeah.
Bro, he's TikTok famous. Can we even reach out to him now?
we
You think
can
he's too
pay him
famous for us?
we can pay him for a promo.
Is he too famous for us?
No, we can invite him on the show so we can talk about cards.
Boom! No, we should talk. No, we should talk to him about his rise on TikTok. But do you not understand how quickly he rose up? Like in terms of like,
We can
because the
we
thing
can
is,
talk about the social media game for sure.
for sure, we'll put that in there too. I think that's actually a really good part to talk about. But yeah, we should definitely invite him on the show.
Yeah, I'll hit him up. And then
Go
maybe
ahead.
he can make some animations for us.
Yep, for sure.
Cool.
All right, sounds good, buddy. All right, bro. My Chick-fil-A has just arrived at my front door.
Solid.
So
I need to find
Like a
something to
good
eat.
place to end it.
yeah, bro. I'm gonna say it was real. It was a good time. I think we had some good conversation. So I'm gonna leave it at that.
As
Yes,
always.
sir.
As always. So I'll catch y'all later. This has been the Mostly Bullshit Podcast. If y'all fuck with us, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back next week. Peace.
Peace.
Look at y'all.